Novichok is in public attention because it has been used multiple times to poison opponents of the Russian government. Navalny's team and supporters have found a new leader. Only a 2-minute gap existed between Navalny's official time of death at 2:17 p.m. local time and the announcement from the Russian Federal Security Service regarding his demise. A prisoner from the same jail as Navalny reported to his lawyer that they knew about his death at 10 a.m. on Friday. Even German Chancellor Olaf went to the States and had a conversation with Biden on 9 February. Navalny appeared to be in relative good spirits and health in a court video a day before his death. On February 16, 2024, in Penal Colony Number 3, convict Navalny took a short walk and felt unwell. He then collapsed and never regained consciousness. The medical staff of the institute arrived immediately and an ambulance team was called. All necessary measures were carried out, but Navalny was dead. When Navalny's lawyer and mother arrived at the colony, authorities told that the cause of Navalny's death was sudden heart syndrome. Sudden heart syndrome is a vague term for different cardiac syndrome that cause sudden cardiac arrest and death. Navalny's mother and his lawyer were not allowed to enter the building, and the lawyer was even physically assaulted. He appeared to be in relative good spirits and health in a court video a day before his death. This is what Putin said about his death.
Случаи, когда люди в местах лишения свободы уходили из жизни. А разве в Соединенных Штатах такого не бывало? Бывало и неоднократно. Некоторые там люди сказали, что есть идея обменять господина Навального на некоторых людей, которые находятся в местах лишения свободы в западных странах. Вы можете мне поверить, можете нет. Человек, который со мной говорил, еще фразу не закончил. Я сказал, я согласен. Но, к сожалению, вот случилось то, что случилось. Только при одном условии, сказал, что мы его поменяем, чтобы он не возвращался, пускай там сидит. Вот и все.
Believing that is hard, and there is no proof about it. Even he knows it is hard to believe.
Человек, который со мной говорил, еще фразу не закончил. Я сказал, я согласен.
Certainly, it is accurate to state that the negotiations were underway for the potential release of Navalny through a prison exchange agreement. This agreement involved Navalny and 2 American nationals being swapped for Vladimir Krasikov, a hitman associated with the Russian FSB security service, who was jailed in Germany for murder. These discussions were reportedly in their final stage prior to Navalny passing. Even German Chancellor Olaf went to the States and had a conversation with Biden on 9 February. The United States was actively seeking the return of Ivan, a journalist for the Wall Street Journal, and Paul Whelan, a former US Marine. Russia has accused both the individuals of espionage. The prisoner exchange was meant to occur in mid-February, and both Navalny and his wife agreed. Navalny's wife Yulia alleged that he had been killed because Putin couldn't tolerate the thought of him being free. She said that the former owner of Chelsea FC, Roman Abramovich, had been the one to float the idea to Putin of exchanging Navalny. Navalny's wife Yulia's allegations can be true because days before Navalny's death, several officers from the Russian Federal Security Service visited the jail and disconnected security cameras and listening devices. A human rights organization investigated that the visit by those officers was mentioned in a report published by the local office of the Russian Federal Service. The same human rights group has released a detailed timeline of events to shed light on the suspicious circumstances surrounding Navalny's death. According to the timeline, only a 2-minute gap existed between Navalny's official time of death at 2:17 p.m. local time and the announcement from the Russian Federal Security Service regarding his demise. Just 4 minutes later, a Russian state-controlled Telegram channel asserted that the cause of Navalny's death was cardiac arrest. Remarkably, within 7 minutes of the official announcement, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry made comments on his death. The swift sequence of events outlined in the timeline suggests pre-planning and coordination in advance. A prisoner from the same jail as Navalny reported to his lawyer that they knew about his death at 10 a.m. on Friday. Additionally, the prisoner mentioned that on Thursday evening and during the night, some unknown vehicles came into the prison area. The prisoner also said, I think Navalny died long before the time they said he did. His dead body was kept for 2 weeks for chemical analysis at an unknown location before it was given to his mother. Yulia alleged that her husband's body was being kept until traces of poisoning by the nerve agent Novichok had disappeared. Navalny survived an attempt to kill him using the poison in 2020. Back then, Navalny fell ill on a flight from Siberia to Moscow and he was later flown to Germany for treatment. An investigation identified at least 8 FSB operatives who were allegedly behind Navalny's poisoning. One of the operatives allegedly later confessed to his role on a phone call with Navalny himself. Novichok is in public attention because it has been used multiple times to poison opponents of the Russian government. The circumstances surrounding Navalny's transfer to jail raised suspicions as well. On December 6, 2023, Navalny went missing abruptly. It wasn't until 25th December that he had been located in a prison north of the Arctic Circle. Navalny was found in the IK3 penal colony in Kharp, situated approximately 1900 kilometers or 1200 miles northeast of Moscow. Notably, the district of Kharp has a population of about 5,000 people. His new jail, also known as the Polar Wolf Colony, is considered to be one of the toughest prisons in Russia. Its inmates are convicted of grave crimes. Winters are harsh there, with temperatures due to drop to about 28 degrees Celsius or minus 18 degrees Fahrenheit. Some media reports have described the jail as the highest possible level of isolation in the world. Despite the isolation, Navalny continued his fight against Putin. His team released a video just 2 weeks before his death in which Navalny urged people to vote for any candidate except Putin. Navalny's death happened exactly 1 month before the Russian election, further raising suspicions. Russian elections have faced criticism for lacking freedom, fairness, and basic democratic standards, with Kremlin often controlling opposition candidates and tightly regulating the media. Navalny, who advocated for free and fair elections in Russia, was prevented from running for the presidency in 2018 election. This time, two anti-war candidates, Boris and Y. Tuntsova, were banned from contesting the election. In addition to Putin, other three candidates on the ballot were all Kremlin-friendly figures with low profile. And among them, the only significant person was Nikolai. He is the member of Russia's local House of Parliament, and Nikolai is the official candidate of the Communist Party of Russia. Navalny was buried after a short Russian Orthodox ceremony with vast crowd waiting outside the church and then streaming to the fresh grave with flowers. Navalny's widow Yulia was not seen at the funeral but has vowed to continue his work. Navalny's team and supporters have found a new leader in his widow. Western diplomats, including the US ambassador, were among the mourners at his funeral. In 2021, when Navalny was in Germany following his poisoning, he had the choice to avoid returning to Russia, where the prison was certain and death was highly likely. Despite this, he chose to return. Navalny responded by saying, I don't want to give up either on my country or my beliefs. I cannot betray the first one or the second. If your beliefs are worth something, you must be willing to stand up for them and, if necessary, make some sacrifices. On the aeroplane back to Russia from Germany, Mr. Navalny sat next to his wife Yulia and together they watched Rick and Morty. EU and US have blamed Putin for Navalny's death. Russia also got a fresh wave of sanctions. In the past, I made a video on how many opponents of Putin have died under highly questionable circumstances. Go watch it now.